Welcome back to Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'm your host, John, back with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I am great tonight. How are you doing?
It's a great night around the Woolley household. My
Oh,
youngest daughter messaged me. She somehow scored 2 Taylor Swift tickets.
stop.
In Cincinnati, her favorite band is actually opening, her second favorite band since Taylor Swift's her favorite artist. And
Wow.
yeah, she messaged me. It's like she somehow Ticketmaster messed up when she originally went for tickets. And they messaged her and like, hey, we messed up. We're going to give you a shot at tickets. And she was like, am I getting scammed? And she got 2 tickets. And so then, of course, I've got to troll her. And I'm like, oh, when are we going? And she's like,
Yeah.
it wasn't going to be we. It was like me and a friend. I'm like, I know you're not taking me. Come on.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
lame. That's wild. I don't know anything about that. There was like some sort of controversy with the tickets and they all went so fast. I thought bitches were given like their left kidney and stuff to get those tickets. And
Well,
there
that's
were all
what I
sorts
want
of
to tell her.
problems.
She paid $400 for 2 tickets. I'm like, sell those things for like $2,000 and let's go to the party.
Seriously. Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
why not?
God.
So,
That's dope. Good for her.
yeah, so very exciting night around here, and
Yeah.
excited about our guest. David Magida is with us. David, how are you?
Hello.
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
The Chicago world champ, Hyrox champ.
North American champ,
North
not
American
not
champ.
world champ yet. We have big dreams, though.
Yeah.
Cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, so for those listening, we ran into David at Chicago when we went there for the North American Championships. And first time I've ever watched, like actually sat down to watch the elites actually go. And dude, that was a back and forth race. The whole way I was like real, like no offense to Hyrox because I love it. It was fun when we did it. But I was shocked at how entertaining and how close and engaging and competitive it was. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what I got. And it was awesome. And you killed it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think when most people envision like that much running, you're like, okay, like how boring is this about to be? But
Right.
like my wife and I, like when we're working out here at home, we definitely like put the CrossFit games on and watch. And even if it's one of the ones that's like the 4-mile ruck run
Yes.
or like the mountain biking one with all the loops, like we're still watching it. Like I'm into that. And I would say Hyrox is a little more action packed than those events for sure. But maybe less so than a lot of the events that happen like kind of on the grid. So
yeah,
it's its own special animal.
Yeah, for sure. I think you kind of need to see it to understand it because it was explained to us so many times, and it wasn't until I like stepped into the venue and really understood that like the running was happening in laps, kind of like on the outside of the course, and so you could turn and watch the running, and then you could turn to the inside and watch the action when you guys got to each separate event. Like it definitely you kind of had to be there, and now I fully understand it, and now I'm like stoked on it. You know what I mean?
There is this, not that like the arena that they built is like this massive thing, but they filled up the stands, and there is this cool vibe of like every time you re-enter the arena, it's like the crowd sees the people coming in, people start getting hyped up, and then you do your thing, and then you roll out again, and it's like, oh, like who's gonna come in the lead on the next one? Like there is like this, like I don't know, like you don't know the order we're gonna return in, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and at the same time, the run is short enough, that's like air quotes, short enough where you can watch a little bit of like, oh, who's passing on the outside and who's got a little bit of an edge here. And like, oh, like I feel like they're changing positions. And then, yeah, like you kind of need to wait to see who's in the lead for each individual event. And then, man, things can get really changed up. They really can't, because you were not in the lead for the first chunk of the race.
Yeah, I sat back early in the race and I just kind of wanted to run the splits that I wanted to run and stay comfortable. And then I put on a pretty hard charge around the third station, which is the sled pull.
Yes.
I ran hard through, like I was making up time on most of the running as well. But then I kind of made my move over the next few stations to move into podium contention.
Yeah, that's so cool. That was a strategy that you had worked on and kind of like a plan you made to stick to.
Yeah, I think, when you run, like the difference between Hyrox and going to like CrossFit games, like regionals or sanctionals, or I'm not sure what they call it these days. They changed it so much.
Both apply. Yeah.
When we run like a lot of our qualifying races, like I might show up and there might only be like one other top guy at that event that I know I'm going to battle. And so you more or less on those qualifying events, you kind of run your own race. you time trial, you're very steady. And then when you get dropped into a field like this one at the Elite 15 for the North American Championships, every single guy is kind of like the guy who's won races like throughout the year. And all of a sudden, everyone's like strategy kind of goes out the window. People are trying to take each other's heads off. People are trying to establish dominance and set the tone of the race very early. And I ran at the European Championships 3 weeks prior, and my game plan was to run smart. And instead, I fell into the trap of trying to run other people's races, and I ended up having a bad day and getting chewed up and spit out. And so I went back to the drawing board and said, like, I know my fitness is where I want it to be, but I need to do it my way. And I just went out and ran the race that I wanted to run. And Dylan Scott, who finished second, did the exact same thing. And we found, that we were battling each other basically from station 3 on.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's interesting to hear because I think that is something that happens to us like everyday people in the gym on a daily basis. Like you have your own strategy, or you think you know how you want to approach something, but then your rival in the 530 class is right next to you on the assault bike, and everything goes out the window. And it's interesting to hear on an elite level that you sort of play the same mind games as we do. It's just, like we're all the celebrities. They're just like us. Like we all have the same traps we can fall into. We all have the same goal setting, and whether or not you could stick to it is another thing.
Well, just like any other WOD, right? Like once you blow up, it's kind of game over. Like then you're just surviving that WOD. Like Hyrox is like that, except that it's an hour-long WOD. So if you blow up 20 minutes in, it is a miserable experience for the last 40 minutes. But if you run your controlled, really dialed in paces and efforts, and you hit the splits that you want to hit, then you're going to be feeling really money coming into like the 7th station, which is what I did. And I told people, like, I didn't feel bad until I was like halfway through the 7th station, which is 100 meters of sandbag lunges. And I mean, at that point you're 50 minutes into the race. Like it's hard not to feel bad. That's pretty much where things turn. And at that point you can survive it,
Right, because you're almost done. Right, John? Just an hour-long race for you too? Yeah. For me too. Yeah, for sure.
50 minutes into the race, I'm pretty sure I was still in event 3. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. All I know is like I remember looking up at that like 40-minute mark and looking at where I was in the race, and I do math really well. I'm in banking. I do math really well. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna be out here for longer than an hour and a half. And I absolutely was. It was not.
I heard you spent an extra long time on that sled.
I spent a long time on that sled. All right. So let me tell you about this sled.
Okay. Right. Bring on the sled talk.
Well, I mean, look, here's the problem with the sled. Nikki and I went in this thing blind, dude. Blind. Totally blind.
No, it's not a good way to do it.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, yeah, if I had known,
I fully agree with that. No, I fully agree with that sentiment. It's not a good way to do it.
Nope. Bro, I got on that sled, and I've pushed a lot of sleds in my life, and I'm reasonably strong for an old guy. Like I put my shoulders in that thing, I take one step, I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be fun. But I'm like, I just got to go down and back. Just got to go down and back. And so I go down and back, and I turn to the guy, the judge, and I'm like, all right, where am I running? I had no idea. He's like, nowhere. You got to go down and back again. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
What?
Pardon?
Yeah, I had just crushed myself going down and back, and now I got to do it again. I'm like, this is not for me. This is not.
So fun. The thing about the Hyrox sled is, you look at it and you're like, okay, so it's 375 on top of a sled, piece of cake, easy. Except that for whatever reason, their sleds just hit so hard. Like I equate it to, in my gym, we push on carpets there too, because it's carpet, not turf in the competition. I push on carpets. Right. My carpets are still faster than their carpets. So I typically have to load my sleds up to 600 or 700 pounds just to make it semi-equivalent to what it's like pushing in the actual race. And then I would say if you're pushing on turf, you probably really need to load about 900 to make it equivalent on the men's pro weight. So you're pushing it and it moves, but the amount of energy that it is sucking out of your soul is immense.
I thought the pull was way harder than the push.
Oh, I didn't.
If it's a skill you're not used to, like specifically that style, yeah, I mean, my first race, the pull was way worse for me than the push, but the push is what took all my energy, and then the pull is what really did me in. Like, it's the damage that you take on the push that ends up affecting your ability to have like an effective pull.
Sure.
And that's
And
the thing about having them sequentially, boom, boom, 2 in a row.
Totally. I also feel like the damage you can incur on the push can really fuck up your running more than almost more than anything else, unless you like super blow up the row, which is like very, very early on. But like the damage you can do to your legs if you don't like pace that right or time that right, like if your legs are blown up for the rest of the race, you got that like that butt pain that comes from sled pushes. Like, how do you run? How do you run hard? You know?
So the thing is, I think if people at home don't know, the way the race is formatted is there's 8 runs that are each a kilometer long, and then each of those runs is followed by a fitness station. So it's 1,000-meter ski erg, 50-meter sled push, 50-meter sled pull, 80-meter burpee broad jump, 1,000-meter row, 200-meter farmer's carry with some heavy kettlebells, depending on
Which
your
is
weight class.
sneaky. That one
It's
I was like, NBD. That one is sneaky.
It is, because you're pretty wiped out when you get there. And then there's a 100-meter sandbag walking lunge, and then 100 wall balls at the end. And basically everything just kind of builds like layer over layer over layer onto you. And slowly, like, you're running hard enough that lactic acid is building up. And then if you're overworking any station, if you overwork the sleds particularly, you can really blow up your legs and maybe your hips, your back, and like your body just doesn't really come back to you. So Hyrox is not just like the ability to run fast and move weight. It's the ability to run fast under extreme duress when your legs are really trashed. I ran my first race. Elijah Muhammad ran in the first race that I ever did.
Yeah.
And we went out and had a drink afterward, and we were talking about it. And he's like, it's not just that you have an engine, it's that you have an exhaust. Your ability to clear all of this stuff back out of your system and continue to run as if it didn't happen. He's like, that's what makes you unique as as an athlete. And so like Hyrox really suits me very specifically, more than it would suit someone like him who's superhuman in so many other ways. But engine and exhaust, as he said, are just like 2 very different things.
What a cool way of putting it. I love that. I've never heard that before.
Well, it works for me because I was exhausted. But
I
I think what was interesting to me, and I'd be curious to your take on this. Like, I figured out the sled 3.5 pushes in. Like, I kind of pride myself on being a smart athlete. I'm not the strongest guy, I'm not the fastest guy, but I'm really efficient. And when I take on a new movement, I try to be as efficient as possible in that movement. And I figured it out like right at the end. What my problem was: you own a gym, you train Hyrox. Like, do you train the efficiency of these movements to your members? Is that like part of the methodology of Hyrox, or like how do you guys approach this with everyday athletes, like old guys like me?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a mix. Like there are multiple techniques that you could use on the sled. There is the traditional technique, which is just get your chest in close and just drive that sucker. And then there's, and keeping in mind, like the lower you slide your hands on those poles, the more quad dominant that push is going to be. The higher up you get, the more glutes you're going to get to engage. And then a lot of guys have been transitioning to this kind of reverse grip technique where you're sticking your elbow inside the pole and grabbing the pole lower down. And that when you lean on it, it almost lifts the back end of the sled, like, a few millimeters off the ground, and gives you like this perfect little balance to skim it along the ground. And in doing that, it also takes a lot of the pressure off your quads. And again, makes it a little more glute heavy, which for me, if I can save my quads for the running, it's really, really helpful. But yeah, I've been teaching that technique to a lot of my members, but a lot of times in the workouts, I make them go back to that traditional push technique because I want them to just get the work. Like sometimes it's not about technique work. Sometimes it's about volume of work. And sometimes we're going to go in and we're going to work on a scale. We're going to improve your efficiency with your rope. That means on the sled pull, and that means learning how to clear the rope better so that your aisleways are clear behind you. That's making sure that you're utilizing like a good leg drive to start the movement and hiking through. It's understanding what angles to leverage your shoulders at. So there's a lot of technique, but the thing about Hyrox is like it's not rocket science. Like there are no movements that are like super, super technical. And that is like a big differentiator between Hyrox and CrossFit. Like, in CrossFit, there are so many movements that take like years of mastering, like skills. And with Hyrox, I think their objective was, let's make something that's really, really hard, where like mind, body, and soul, you're going through it, but let's make it very doable for like anybody, like of not necessarily of any fitness level, because I think you have to be very fit, but let's make it attainable and so that anybody can train for it and not have to spend like a year learning skills.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that in your gym that you have people who, are sort of in the earlier stages of figuring out their fitness or their lifestyle or how they can work those movements in on a daily basis?
Yeah, like so my gym is in Washington D.C. It's called Elevate Interval Fitness, and when I first opened it, we were more of just a hit studio,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of hit classes, almost like boot camp style. Then we started incorporating like a pure strength program. Or my breakthrough program is either all strength classes or all endurance, and so helping people become better runners, helping people get stronger, people that are maybe not as comfortable doing those things. And then we started adding more. We added functional hit is like a much more like it's got more of those CrossFit skills in there. We started adding wall balls. We started adding sleds. We added a pull-up rig in. So there's a lot more of those things starting to come in. And then I added a hybrid athlete program. And this is where people come and train for me for events like Hyrox, for things like DecaFit. And we specialize more in that. And I have people that are like pretty advanced athletes who are taking it and doing it with me. And then people who are really just trying to lose weight. And they were like, I want something to train for. Seems awesome. And so like literally it's all levels and I put them all together and I program level 1, level 2. You guys might have it as like RX or scaled. And it's essentially that. And everybody trains together. And as I tell people, like the way I structure my programming, like you could be an elite level athlete, a total novice, a pregnant woman, somebody who's average. It doesn't matter. We're all in there together, and it develops having something to train for, like outside of just working out and outside of maybe just the open once a year is really good for building that community because everyone's kind of looking forward to the same thing. Then they all travel to an event together. They're splitting hotel rooms. They're going out to team dinners. And all of a sudden the vibes get really, really good.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of us haven't had like since school. Like I love a team dinner. I love like a solid, like, you've got people that you're going to battle with, but then also like you're drinking together afterwards. And I feel like personally, I haven't done a CrossFit competition in a long time. Like those days are kind of a little bit behind me, but it was the same vibe when we all used to like a gym would go to a competition and you'd all compete together and you'd all like train together. Like you said, share a hotel room if you're traveling. And it just, that's something that if you played sports in college or in high school or whatever in your younger years, you don't really have as an adult, you don't really have that kind of an outlet anymore. Always. You don't have those scenarios. And I love that you're building that because it's so fun.
I read a thing like yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It said over 700 CrossFit affiliates have now become Hyrox affiliate gyms.
I saw that too.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, this is perfect because this is like one more thing that you can train your clients in. And there's such a high level of engagement and retention within the people who are training for this stuff. And like those people become like your superstar clients in the sense that like they're more bought in than anybody because you've opened up a whole new world to them of like cool stuff to do. And you've given them more purpose with their training. And so I think it's done wonders for my studio. And I think it would for like any box. I highly recommend you guys try and check out Hyrox affiliation and go bring your group if you're listening to one of these races.
I just talked to them. I was down in Columbus and I ran into Lauren, who's the affiliate rep. And I told her I'd call her this week. I own an affiliate. And so we're discussing whether we should add this into our mix. My co-owner loves to run, like she is living to do Hyrox. She hasn't done it yet. And she saw me do it and she's so jealous. She's like dying to do it. So I think we're kind of right there right now. We're like, we think we should add this in. There's something
you probably have most of the equipment that you need to train for it. So like, it's actually a pretty easy thing. Like I've looked at other affiliations where they're like, oh, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. And I'm like, well, it's going to cost me like $8,000 just to buy all that stuff before I even, it's like, where do I even put all this stuff? So, but the one with Hyrox is actually very easy to get started. And I find that people that do Hyrox, they're very sticky. Like they they want to do more than one because the event itself, like some people look at the fact that the event is the same every time as a bad thing. I think I look at it as it's a really good thing because they're not always, courses are not 1-to-1. They're not completely identical, but they're close enough that you can cross compare. Like, oh, look, on this station, look how much better I got. Like, you get a breakdown of every station, every run, everything, and you can really analyze yourself and break it down and then fitness test yourself again and see how much you've improved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I think I like it both ways. Like I like some stuff where it's different every time and it keeps it really interesting, but also I love a test retest. And I think in the greater realm of sport, like we see that so often in people who run marathons over and over, half marathons over and over, cycle the same courses and the distances. Like there's something to that. And I also think that as a gym owner, one of the smartest things you can do is diversify the options that you're giving people to step foot in your gym. Because those sticky people might also want to do some one-on-ones. They might also want to learn weightlifting in the future. Maybe there is a part of them that wants to spend a year learning how to snatch properly, and they're still going to train Hyrox in the meantime, or something along those lines. And I like the fact that they're offering this sort of like affiliation program, because if you're a CrossFit gym or you're a HIIT studio or something and you're good at your programming, but you want to bring those other people in, having a program already developed for you that's tried, tested, and true for the sport that you're going to prepare these people for is an awesome resource. And I think it's very cool.
I also found that one of the things that it did for me was a lot of my people that were kind of on running, they broke down their fear of running because we got them into real run training. And, I know a lot of people that do CrossFit do it so they can run less, or they try to avoid running at all costs. But I mean, I come from a running background. That was like my main sport when I was younger. And so for me, running is like this thing that brings me like great peace and great joy. But I also love clanging and banging weights. So, it's just kind of like opening people's eyes to the perspective of like the good, like take away the stigma of like the bad in running and give them something good as a reward. Like if you run your ass off, you're going to have a great Hyrox time. So it's going to make the entire experience better.
Yeah. You sell it in 1K chunks and CrossFitters are like, I'm listening.
I can manage that. Yeah.
I can do that. Yeah, totally.
For sure. I mean, honestly, like, a lot of people would argue like the worst part of the race is like the first 1K ski where you're like, can this be over so I can get on with my race? Or or the 100 wall balls at the end where you're like, can this be over so my race is over? Like it's not really like everything else. You're like, oh, I'm okay. I'm out for my run, but I actually need this run because the sled just killed me or whatever.
Right.
And like you're actually like in some ways you're like, thank God, like I'm back on the run. And then every time you get to something that you're like, I do not want to do this anymore. Like you don't have to do it again. That's like a cool thing. Right. So like on to the next one.
Yeah. And it's kind of over before you hate it too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for the lunges.
You did it with a weight vest.
I did it with a weight vest, but I also did it with a partner. So I was truly, it was not that bad. Truly.
You did it with the legend Lauren Weeks.
I did. Yes. And homegirl went at my pace. So we were fine.
She's like 7 months postpartum or something. And and won the European Championships. No big deal.
No big deal. Did the race twice that day. Did it with you guys and then did it with me. Her idea, by the way.
Machine. She's a machine.
She's insane. Yeah.
There are some really stunning athletes in this sport that I think it's exciting for some attention to start to get to them, to the hard work and the effort. Like, the top level, I think there are a lot of CrossFitters who are amazing athletes who don't get attention. But like the ones who are like the highest level, like everybody knows who they are. Everybody gives them their flowers because they deserve them. And in Hyrox, it's like a couple people are known commodities. Yeah. And we're just kind of scratching the surface of this thing.
Yeah, it's still kind of new. I think the more that the word gets out and the more people go and test it and the more people go and see what elite athletes like you can do, the more popular everything will get. The sport, your names, like all of the above. Like we need more eyeballs on it. Here, I know it's more popular in Europe, but here it's like still coming up.
I think it would be huge here. And we've seen the growth. Like it's growing really fast now in the United States. It had a really rough start here because they launched like 2 races and the hype coming in was massive for those events. I didn't even run those. At the time I wasn't what I was focused on. And Then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we were like, oh man, like this thing is not growing. And you know, it really put a dent in things. And now we're like, in much the same way as I think we're finally getting clear of it in the gym, where I think a lot of gyms were affected by COVID on the comeback. Like it took much longer than we anticipated. Hyrox was the same way. And now all of a sudden they have traction and we're seeing rapid growth. But you're right, in Europe, I mean, there's like 30 something races already a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they launched Middle East, they're in Asia, they're Hong Kong. Like it's going to be worldwide soon. And I'd be shocked if it's not in Australia really soon.
Yeah. It's so cool. I love that. This is going to be huge.
One of the things that really struck me about the entire event is how normal everyone is, including you, David. I mean, we have a lot of athletes on this show, and usually when we talk to games athletes, like first they're telling us, 8:00, that's too late. I got to go to bed at like 8:15.
I think I said that too, though. I did say that too.
Sorry, I push it because it's past baby bedtime. Well, for you too, right? What time does your baby go to bed?
We put the baby to bed at 7. And we're East Coast. But I usually am in bed by like 8:30 because I wake up around 4.
Ew, why?
Gotta work. If I'm not working, I'm training.
Yeah.
I'm coaching.
4?
I unlock the studio at 5, and I'm either coaching, or if it's a day when I'm not opening, I gotta get my workout in. Like my first one of the day. I gotta get, we're gonna train 2-3 hours. Like, when are you gonna do it?
Wait, and how are you doing it? Because have you even slept in the last 12 months? Your baby turns 1 in like 48 hours.
Yeah, and 48 hours. Now I guess 36 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not been a lot of sleep. Actually, she was born March 11th, 2022, and I was coming off an ankle injury. I had a really bad sprain, like some ligament issues, and I was just like trying to regain my running form and other things and get ready for the race season. I was ramping up because I still hadn't qualified for world championships last year at this time. And baby was born really small. She was not really small, but she lost a lot of weight in the hospital. And all of a sudden we're being told by the doctors that we have to feed her every hour. And so that was good times. So we were sleeping in 2-hour shifts and alternating the wake ups. But you really wake up every time the other person's alarm goes off.
You do.
So
yeah.
you're up anyways. And so we were waking up 8 times a night to feed the baby for the first 2 months. And then it got to be like, okay, only 3 wake ups a night. And then we just stopped doing the once a night wake up 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, it's like I haven't had many full nights of sleep in the last year. But one of the things that happened was about 6 weeks into having the baby, I was training as hard as I could, wasn't sleeping. I got a stress fracture in my shin, and I have to assume that the not sleeping had a major role in that. My wife's like, don't blame the baby for that, but like, it's not the baby's fault, but I wasn't sleeping.
Right.
It's transitive property, maybe.
Yeah. There's not blame, but there is a fact that
that
is a factual occurrence. Yes.
Yeah. Causation. And so, I think it's been really hard. I think that's one of the things I'm really proud of for this year was to manage to keep training hard enough that I was able to win the North American Championships while feeding a baby every night at between 2 and 3 in the morning. And then, or 1 and 3 in the morning, and then waking up at 4 or 4:30 most days and dragging my carcass into work or into the gym and getting to work. And, sometimes trying to get in 30 minutes before my shift started so I could go get my back squats in or whatever, like anywhere I could squeeze it. And after putting her to bed, going downstairs here, this is the lab in the house, and just putting in some work on the assault bike or the rower or just grab some dumbbells or squat or anything, So a lot of it was just like, where can you find the time? Being a new dad is hard. It's hard to be that and an athlete and a business owner.
So hard. It's truly impossible. And I think a lot of pressure is put on new parents to just, moms a lot, but dads too, to just, okay, like welcome to parenthood. Like, are you back to your shit yet? Come on, let's go. And it's really wild that, you can't really let off the gas. And as an athlete too, like you don't get an off season. If you're not working, everyone else is.
That's
And
it.
so the competition is fierce.
Championships are won in the off season. So when I had my stress fracture, I was like, okay, I'm not giving up on this next year. What does this mean? Um, it means an hour a day or more on the assault bike. It means it's just awful. It's just so awful. It was
Made me
like
nauseous.
some days you're just gonna, excuse me,
Man.
some days you're just gonna steady state on that bike for an hour or 90 minutes. Some days you're gonna do 100-calorie repeats. Some days you're gonna do, 60 something cals on the bike into 1,000 meters in the ski erg, and you're gonna do 8 rounds of each for time. Like some days are gonna, I mean, it's just awful, horrific workouts that
Ooh.
it was every day. For my shin took, because I kept trying to come back. I ran a couple races trying to qualify for worlds on the injury. I raced at world championships last year in the pro division, not the elite, because I missed qualifying by 16 seconds on this thing. But I wanted to race anyway, so I went. And so I did I had a lot of setbacks. So it was about 3 months of just doing that every day. And that's a bad way to do it, but my fitness was stellar when I came out of that injury. Like, I got to admit, like, between doing, hour to hour and a half long rower workouts and hour to hour and a half long assault bike workouts and doing 5K row into 5K ski for time, like those things, man, they really do move the fitness needle.
Yeah. They just suck. That's like eating your vegetables, the fitness edition.
Like, listen, I'm the first one to tell you it sucks, but like the things that you have to do to beat all of these guys is everything's going to suck. Like, it's only I don't care how much you love working out. It's only so much fun.
Yeah. It's a job. It's your actual career, which is wild.
See, I was sitting there thinking I wanted to get good at Hyrox until he started talking about that assault bike for an hour. And I'm like, nope, I'm out.
Not that good.
Isn't it crazy that like the one tool that isn't even in the race is like maybe the best training tool for that race?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
I mentioned to Mo while we were there that I was thankful there was no assault bike. And he had this like kind of devious look on his face, like it might come at some point. And I'm like, dude, don't do that to me.
Please, I would love the assault bike in the race. DECA has assault bike as the 7th of their 10 stations, and it is where it's like the graveyard. It's like where all of a sudden everyone's running fast and looking fresh, and everything so far has been pretty like standard, nothing too hard, and all of a sudden that people are zombies coming off that.
I wouldn't survive. Like, you list out the Hyrox events, and I'm like, I can handle it. You listed out an assault bike in there, I'd be like, no, cancel my registration.
And how long would the assault bike be? Would it be like 75 calories? Like, what would it be?
Oh, come on. That would take a normal person far too long. Like, far too long.
Maybe it's 50.
Maybe 50.
50 is a good number for.
I've seen guys that can do 50 calories in like 30 seconds though.
Yeah, but those aren't the guys that are sprinting the 1K runs.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, the assault bike is a big boy implement. Like, it's a power machine. It's not like a sprinter machine.
Yeah, it's functional power. It's FTP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you tried the assault rower yet?
Ooh.
No, I haven't.
It's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah, bad in a good way, or like just
yes, bad in a good way.
It's so bad. The seat's better. It's really comfortable. I did the gauntlet down at Wadapalooza, and the 4th event of the hour-long workout was 1,000-meter row for time on the assault rower, and it has no dampener, so it's all fan. So it's literally just all leg drive. That's it. Like, there's no way to cheat it. You can't pull the dampener up. Can't shorten your stroke. Like, you can't do all those little things you can do with the C2. You just got to have good leg drive and good form.
Are you telling me that I need to get rid of this concept too and get an assault rower?
I think you need both. I think that they're different trailing tools.
My wife's going to kill me.
Yes, she is.
I'm still trying to get Assault to send me an assault runner. So if you know anybody.
Well, we know the owner.
And also that runner is.
I know the owner. I'll introduce you to Tracy, and we'll see if we can help you
out. John knows everybody. He's the guy you need to be.
That would be so cool.
Oh, so here's a true story.
Little nuke.
So on my other show, I have the second show podcast that I do with a guy who runs a company called Wad Prep, and they teach people how to be efficient in CrossFit workouts. and he's significantly younger than me. He's in his 30s, early 30s, and he's really fit. And so
really fit.
I was teasing him going into the gauntlet that I was just gonna sell out on the row and beat him at 52 and just humble him. And it's like, yeah. Well, then I did. I actually beat him on the row by like 4 seconds, but 4 seconds in a row might as well be.
Wins the win. You know? What did you tell me? What did you tell me yesterday? Gold medal's a gold medal.
Gold medal's a gold medal. I don't care how you get it.
Well, they say it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
Yeah. So anyway, but it was on the assault rower. So when it was over, I was talking to Tracy, who's the owner of Assault, and I'm like, hey, Ben and I want a rematch at the games on your rower. And she goes, well, if you do that, I'll send you one. And so she sent me 2 assault rowers to the gym. And so now I've got 2, and I train on them, and they're just as bad in training as they were in that workout. So I'm telling you, like, it's a great implement to have. I'll introduce you to Tracy, see if you can get a rower. They have a newer one coming out, actually.
I'd love to meet Tracy. I'd love to check out the rower. I need the assault.
You need a runner. You need a runner.
Because I have treadmills at my studio. I have like those really nice Woodway.
Yeah, I love the Woodway. Yep.
They're amazing, but they require like a 20 amp designated circuit. So there's limitations. Like they weigh 445 pounds and there's no wheels. Like you drop them and like that's where they live. But an assault runner, I could flip up, wheel it back, move it around. Like
I have one in my basement. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to sell my house with it down there.
Well,
dude, it is so heavy. I bought it used from the Panchecks. They were closing their gym here, and they sold me one. And so Spencer and Saxon came over. And I keep in mind, Saxon finished 5th of the games, and Spencer just qualified for the games not that long ago. I'm pretty sure they both gave themselves hernia moving this thing downstairs.
Stairs are different. He's talking about wheeling it around his gym.
Well,
I'm talking about my house right here.
Yeah. Yeah. You could do that. You could totally do that.
I've got nice gym flooring that I threw down on here. Like it's
nice.
Great.
The runner's sweet. The runner's
the runner. You out of all people, like you need one to train because it would make running on a flat surface feel like nothing, like cake. Yeah. Well, you know what? Joke's on everyone else because you know that new technique that everyone's doing that you were talking about with the sled push where you like wrap your arm around the inside. That is just the bucket technique to carry your like infant carrier. Those guys are late to the game.
It is.
That is just the bucket technique.
Exactly what you're talking about with the car seat and you hook it.
Yeah. That's it. That's the same thing. So you have a huge advantage there. You've been doing that for a year.
Yeah, and I do. I've been practicing my wall balls with the baby. That's like one of the things I do. So
your baby's probably heavier than the wall ball at this point.
She's closing in on 20 pounds. She's
there you go.
Tiny baby. She's a tiny baby. She loves being thrown in the air.
Oh, how big was she when she was born?
6 pounds.
Yeah. So same fears at first. My baby was 5.5 pounds. Like totally normal, just small. Everything totally good, just like on the smaller side.
Ours, she lost like 10% of her body weight, like in the first 24 hours. And we were like, and so it became like this like feeding frenzy, just like cram as much food into her as we can at all times.
Yeah. What a pain.
Which is like, she's on my eating schedule because I pretty much never stop eating either.
Amazing. That's Dad's girl right there.
That's great. Totally.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Do you throw her to the full 10 feet or do you just make the 9-foot line?
Probably 9 foot. Mom doesn't love the extra height there. She gets real nervous.
That is so funny.
Moms be like that. God.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the chill dad, and she's like the don't hurt my baby mom. You know.
That is quite common. Common. Matt's been doing this thing lately where he'll like I don't know, like the swan position where like you're on your back and your baby's on your feet and like you hold his hands with your hands and his like hips are on your feet, right? Except he won't hold his hands and he'll just balance him on his feet and then he'll straighten his legs and just like launch him in the air and then catch him. And I have a panic attack. It's great.
And the baby loves it.
Loves it. Has only hit his head once. Don't worry about it. Totally fine.
They're supposed to. We bought Nora a little helmet that she wore for a little while when she was first like starting to stand up and like try and climb things, and she was just small, falling and smacking her head all the time. So, but my wife thought it looked bizarre. It made her head look like a penis. So
Yes.
Oh my Lord.
Oh my God. I'm jealous that you did that because Matt is very like, he's like all natural, like definitely like belongs like outside without shoes on and whatever. And was always like, he's supposed to hit his, he's supposed to have that bruise. He's supposed to have that scratch. I'm like, oh God, my perfect baby. He bought him like a pickler's triangle to climb on before he could even walk. I was like, he's going to fall off this and like smash his face. And he was like, good, he's supposed to. And I was like, oh my God, I can't. I think it's different when you grow the child yourself. You're like, please,
I can imagine.
Dear God, let nothing happen to this thing that I grew.
Oh my Lord. Hey, David, I want to hear about your gym as an affiliate owner. I mean, you're talking about getting up at 4 a.m. I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not the one doing that at my gym. Like, it just made me so happy there for a moment.
I'm not the only one doing that at my gym, but yeah.
Yeah, but how long have you owned this gym?
So we opened Elevate in October of 2014. So
wow,
we're like 8.5 years in right now. And, surviving the pandemic, I think, was one of our major accomplishments because that was crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think everything with running a gym is its own struggle. Like we opened just the one location and we were killing it. This was like early in DC's like fitness renaissance.
Yeah.
And we became known as like this, like go to Elevate if you want to like go puke during your workouts. Like everything was like,
Right.
like I trained hard and I write hard workouts. And one of the things that happened was like, as we were like growing so fast, I was like, we need another gym. Like we're not gonna be able to accommodate all these people. So we opened up a second location, but outside DC in Virginia, and we didn't get nearly the same foot traffic. And then I was stretched between two studios and really struggling to like hold it together. And an opportunity presented itself to move back into the city to a different location. So I moved my Virginia studio back to DC, which made it much more manageable for me. But then during COVID, it was like, we're paying 2 rents. We're just really struggling with this. And the landlord at the second location was trying to reclaim the space to like build out their amenities within the building itself. So we ended up parting ways and just kind of refocusing on the main gym. The first one that we ever started. It's like back as our flagship still. But we're alive. We're still there. We moved a lot of our members from that other studio in, and that's when I launched some semi-private training. That's when we got into like hybrid training. My partner in the studio, Jamel, he comes from a bodybuilding, powerlifting background. Cool. So he launched a power athlete program. And so these were like, instead of our normal classes of like 20 or 24 people at a time, these were 7 people, 10 people, 12 people, like really small groups, higher price points, people training for stuff. We started putting on competitions at the gym. Like we have a liftoff event, which is like a powerlifting competition that we'd never done before, which drew a ton of interest. And really, I designed like these WWE style championship belts that like discount double check, like real nice ones. And, gave those out to the winners. And we just started like doing a lot more. We started having a lot more offerings. Like instead of focusing on expansion, we started focusing on just expanding what we had at the studio and try to fill more hours, try to really grow this thing in a way that I think was more sustainable and in a way that it feels more right. Because this place really was the only one of the 3 locations we ever had that felt like home.
Yeah.
It's funny. CrossFit gets its reputation for community. I think that's universally, that's what everyone says. Community CrossFit is so good. And I've contended forever it has nothing to do with the workouts. It's the people who own the gyms and the coaches themselves, how they interact. So what is your community like? And this is obviously a non-CrossFit affiliated, we'll call it HIT gym or Hyrox gym or whatever you want to call it.
It's interesting. My community varies by like time of day.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
This is like a real thing. Like the people who come in at 5:30 in the morning are like the same people every time. They're almost like a pod. They all know each other and they all are friends, but they also are like, yo, I'm the person who's here at 5:30 in the morning. Like, I just woke up. I kind of don't want to talk, and I gotta be at work by like 7:30.
Yeah.
Like,
The
so
shit and get, like, they're out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But they all like each other, and they will. Those are the same people that will fly to events. You know, those are your hardcores. And then 6:30 in the morning, that's going to be like my most popular time slot, 6:30 or 7 a.m. depending on the day. Those people are consistent. You'll have a few other random people mixed in, but it tends to be the same people. They're talking a lot more, much more social. They'll hang out in the lobby afterward and, you know, have a fit aid together and whatever, and just hang. And they might hang out for the entire next class and then leave when the next class goes. And then you have people in like the 8 a.m. It's going to be kind of that similar vibe. Like, I got to sleep as late as I wanted, and I got up and I feel chipper and I'm ready to be social. Midday people, my midday crew has become kind of that same thing. Very, very social. A lot of the same people. And then when you look at like evenings, that's when I get more random people that are coming in on like class pass, people who are coming, who are maybe not as not everyone, some of them are regulars, but people who are less regular, less consistent with their training, those are like evening people. And so
they don't have like a thing to train for. They're just like getting their fitness in a couple times a week kind of thing.
I'm making sure I don't feel guilty. Like, I'm training so I don't feel
I'm checking
guilty.
that box. Yeah.
So
I know.
So I would definitely say like that is the vibe. Like, in the morning is like the social crew, and those people are helping us plan our socials. Like, we do an ugly holiday sweater party every year. We do socials every few months where, you know, we'll go and buy out a bar and do like a big workout at the gym, and then go to the bar and have a space for 4 hours, and, you know, 150 people might trickle through over the course of that thing. Or you know, we do workshops where like I'm doing a snatching workshop next weekend that I'm leading, where we do like it's our like, you have kettlebells and cocktails, we have kettlebells and coffee. And so it's I brought in a coffee sponsor who brings us like a bunch of coffee every time we do one of these events. And so people come and drink coffee and hang out and learn after the last class of the day. And then Friday night workshops, if we do those, we have one at the end of the month. It's like a resiliency for runners one, and it's like we do BYOB for those. So like we have like these good like community vibes. Like, things are, now that COVID's over, we like brought a lot of this stuff back. It's been really nice.
That's awesome. I love that. I feel like the CrossFit class times also have very, very similar vibes. So like same, but different, because I feel like evening classes, you go from like not social shit and get people to like very social, I slept in, or maybe I have the day off, or like teachers who get off a little bit earlier who come to like an early afternoon class, and then like come the evening class, come like 5:30 p.m.
5:30, 6:30.
We go right back to social at CrossFit. Like, those people are hanging out like all night. Like, they've come after work, and now they get to relax. Like, they get to unwind and chit chat, and there's like all that bleeding into the next class, at least at my gym. I don't know about you, John.
It's like that everywhere. I'm sitting here laughing internally as he's describing these classes. Like, 5:30 classes are universal all over the world. As people roll in, mismatched clothes, dirty.
Don't talk to me.
They're not talking. Their knees are creaking. They kind of have coffee breath. They're like, just shut up. Like, the first 10 minutes is like dead silence. All you can hear is heavy breathing and joints. Like, that's it, you know? And then once they get warmed up, they start talking a little bit.
That's it.
Yeah. But they're savages. And you know what they actually do is they text each other all day. They're texting like 9 o'clock going, oh my God, I just had my third breakfast. You know, like, that's because they're so exhausted from their 5 o'clock workout. You know,
they're like, that David Magida was son of a bitch. He is that workout.
That guy.
Yeah. I got called a sadist today, and I had to correct someone and let her know, no, I'm a sadomasochist. I also enjoy the pain.
Yes. I do it myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
But you know, these afternoon classes show up, and they're like perfectly matched outfits. The women have on makeup still. The dudes are like, make sure they get the best shoes on and the big gym bag, and, you know, showing off the guns. Like, it's just so universal. And I love hearing the communities, but I love what you're talking about bringing people together afterwards. I think that's really, really crucial to grow your business, to drive revenue, to bring in more members. Like that sense of belonging is so important in a gym. And I'm just glad to hear that, it's happening outside of CrossFit as well as, we obviously know what happens inside our sport, but here at other places too.
Was, the training methodologies are really similar. There's a lot of similarities, at least. And I feel like there's very much a rising tide mentality. And I love that. Like, I love that all the programs coexist. I love that they can complement one another. I love that the athletes can flow freely from one program to another, from one gym to another, or that each gym is now thinking about, taking on an affiliation in one way, shape, or form. Like, we're just trying to make fitter people and get more people to all events, more people to Hyrox every so often, more people to CrossFit comps every so often. Like, there's a real synergy here. And I think that we're doing the world a service. Yeah.
And getting people away from the Instagram fitness mentality of like, my workout needs to be super sexy. This guy has 8,000 different variations of every exercise. Like, this idea that it needs to be seen, like all of this, like, turn this crap off. And like, no, like we're a studio, not a box, right? But we're not like shiny lights and like models for coaches or anything like that. Like, it's like, come in here, like, get to work, let's grind. Like, that's it. Like, nothing flashy.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be, right? It's like getting people to embrace actually training.
Yes. And with people who are like skilled enough to build the right programs and offer the scaling options and like, people who know what they're talking about. I mean, there's nothing wrong with folks online who are like also just trying to make the world a healthier place. But I think that you can't replicate knowledge and experience and one-to-one attentiveness and the community that you get when you walk into a gym that has, a class that has 10 other people who are of varying fitness levels to motivate you and to also humble you and to do all of that. Like, it's just, well, I mean, I drank the Kool-Aid, so take that with a grain of salt, but here I am.
You like, the reality is like, doesn't matter who you are. Like, you can be Medeiros. You can get a one-off workout, great workout on your own. But like, even he can't train day in, day out, every workout alone. Like, you need to do it with people. Like, it is the key. You need to have coaches, no matter how good you are. You need to have, people to hold you accountable. And if I'm working out, if I jump in one of my classes, I could be running next to somebody who's going half the speed of me. And I'm still like looking over at their speed.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's still like, it still motivates me just to be with anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
I was in a workout the other day and there was some kid, and I call him a kid because he was in his 20s and I'm in my 50s, and he was beating me the entire workout. And I caught him, and like, I was watching him, that same thing, giving him the side eye the whole time and watching his breaks. And I'm like, I know where he's going to break in the third round. And when he does, I'm going to pass him. And I did, and I beat him. And when it was over, I went over and fist bumped him, and I was walking away, and my coach comes by me and she goes, "That kid didn't even know he was racing you, did he?" And I'm like, "Nope, he had no idea."
You didn't know.
She's like, "But you weren't going to let him win, were you?" And I'm like, "Absolutely
Nope.
not." Like, that's the whole point. That's why you go,
Yeah.
Makes you work harder.
And maybe next time he'll be looking out for you.
Yeah. Oh, trust me.
Push.
He knew when it was over, because I made a point to, when I finished, to walk close to him so I could fist bump him when he finished, just so he knew the old guy beat him.
Just so we,
John, you have to do it.
You do. No, you do. Hey, at every age.
Yeah.
Give him a push. Why not?
Absolutely. Well, I'm dropping in on your gym, by the way. I'm coming to DC in April.
Oh, you are?
Oh, great. When in April are you going to be here?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a great question. I think the 22nd. I'll have to look, but I know I'm coming in April. So now that I know you're in DC, I'm going to drop in, and I want you to program something horrible.
Totally it'll be horrible. You'll come for a couple of days. We'll get a few different formats in for you. You'll have a great time.
My Hyrox training starts Monday, and that'll actually be, my coach will be very happy that I'll have somewhere to drop in while I'm in DC that will give me a really horrible Hyrox training. So
that's great. I'm going to be launching an online training platform soon. So
fun.
Really?
I wish I had it already ready so I could like plug it with you guys. But once that comes, I'll share the info with you guys, because I'm beginning the build out.
Yay. That's so exciting. I was going to ask, like, sort of what is coming down the pipeline for you in terms of training, races, your business? Like, what have you got going on?
So much.
So much.
So much. I mean, obviously the online training platform, like, I've had a lot of people approach me since the North American Championships being like, how can we train with you? When are you going to be online? Whatever. So I'm trying to fast track that the best that I can. And so the hope is that, next time I'm at an event, I'll be able to, give out QR codes so people can scan them, get discounts, that sort of thing, and get started. And it's hard in this world of online training because it's like you need to have both a combination of content and video. Like you need to have like the actual workouts, then you have to have like a lot of video prepared. So time it's very time intensive, but I'm working hard on that right now.
Cool.
In addition, obviously my training is full go right now. We have like about 2.5 months till World Championships in Manchester, England. So I told my wife before this season that I had 2 big dreams for this season. One was to be North American champion and the other was to be world champion. So
just little things then. No big deal. Yeah.
I'm halfway. I think you have to believe in yourself. Like you have, like every guy, there's a lot of guys who have a shot at winning worlds. And a lot of those guys were at the race at the North American Championships. The guys who finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th at the European Championships were all at this race. And so, and the guy that finished 2nd in the world last year, guys who finished 2nd through 8th in the world last year at World Championships all ran in that race. So I'm right there. But I know at the same time, I have to have a good day. Maybe I have to have a little luck. Like this is how competition goes. And so just got to kind of keep your nose to the grindstone. I'm working on dialing a little bit more speed and a little bit more power into my training right now. And then outside of training and competing, because I'm gonna do a tune-up race in Stockholm, Sweden, in about 2.5 weeks. And then a little tune-up just to see where I'm at. And then I'm also working on a little side project with my buddy Cam. We are launching a hard seltzer company.
Yes.
Speaking our language.
I'm here.
I thought you guys would like this.
Tell me the details.
Okay, here are the details. We are a hard seltzer called Post Game. And Post Game, because our hard seltzer will be the first on the market with 7 grams of protein and electrolytes. So you finish your workout. You don't need to worry about chugging a protein shake. You don't need to drink a hydration drink. You literally just you want to go to brunch afterward. You want to go catch the football game. You want to go whatever, have a drink with your friends, get on a boat. Well, I don't know what you're going to do. Grab a Post Game. Grab 2.
you get on a boat. Of course.
Why not? Like, and the thing is, so 14 grams over 2 drinks and 14 grams of protein is a nice, start. It's kind of like this idea of like, it's everything you need and a little bit that you don't. And it's 5% alcohol. It's nothing that's going to like knock your socks off, but it's the right amount. Like I'm trying to get you to binge drink. I'm just trying to get you to have a couple and enjoy it. And kind of a little bit of balance there. So post game, we have our soft launch planned for sometime in March. We'll see when we can finish the manufacturing, and get it down here. But we're set to be launching in DC, Maryland, Virginia with our distributor, in about 200 stores when we do our soft launch.
Wow, that's
gosh,
crazy.
Great.
And then we'll hopefully hard launch around the summertime. And then the goal is, let's see where we take this thing. I would love to expand. If anybody wants to get involved, they can reach out to me. I would love to hear from them. We theoretically would be interested in some investors. So,
so fun.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I volunteer as tribute for testers. So ship some up. I'll be brutally honest with you. I have very specific taste in hard seltzers.
Sure. Yeah. We had a night where we did market research, and I purchased, I think 24 different hard seltzers, and we sat down and we graded them all by how the brand name sounded, the flavor sounded, the smell, the taste, like what did it make you think of, rated on a scale of 1 to 10, all this stuff. And we did a lot of market research that night. We didn't drink them all. We drank like a sip of each one.
But, sure. What was your favorite? Like, I'm so curious. Like,
oh my gosh. Now, what's interesting, pineapple flavors did really well with me, which was surprising because I wasn't sure that was going to be my thing, but we are launching a pineapple and we're launching a raspberry flavor initially.
Cool.
And then
Great.
we'll kind of roll from there. Adding SKUs is hard. It's expensive. So we're going to start with 2. We're selling 4 packs. And yeah, it's an exciting, like, extra little venture in my life.
I love it. Well, if you ever need any marketing advice, come right to me.
I accept.
Yes, I'm your girl.
Yeah, I mean, look, you need somebody that knows about fitness and is basic AF. That's Nikki.
That's me. That's me.
I love it. Well, and I think the thing is, like, the people who are going to drink this are people just like us. People who like to work out. People who want to have a few drinks. Don't take it too seriously. Like, yeah, it'd be really cool if, like, I don't know, Noah Olson wanted to be the face of this thing, but I don't think he even drinks alcohol. I have no idea.
I don't think Noah does, but we know quite a few CrossFitters that do.
Yeah.
I can think of several.
Let's talk, guys.
Okay.
What's up?
These CrossFitters are funny though, dude. A lot of them don't drink at all. And so when you actually see them drinking, they're like completely hammered on that 5% alcohol drink. It's the best. I love it.
I mean, I really cut back a lot since we've had the baby too. So that's probably
of course
one of the big advantages of having a kid. Although, like, we are also the baby and the bar people. Like, we're the do
same
that,
way.
man.
Yeah.
We have like breweries by the house, and we'll just like push the stroller down there, and we'll like just look like a couple degenerates. But
no, we're the same way. And we talked about this. I had my kid's first birthday party at a brewery. So you're in good company.
What we're doing. That's what we're doing on Saturday. We're stoked about it. Baby's 1-year birthday at a brewery.
Yep. Same.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do is when you get ready to launch this thing, we'll have you back on. We'll do a happy hour on the air. You'll have to send us some cans, and we'll all drink. We'll all drink them on the air, and we'll chat again and talk about your world championship at that point. And it'll be fun. Be a good time.
That'll be great. May 26th is World Championship. So it's time to lock in and go like monk mode for it. But it's gonna be great.
That's good stuff, man. Well, thanks for joining us, David. I appreciate you coming on, man. And it was great meeting you and getting to see you compete live and in person. So we're excited to have you here. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, and big honor. So I appreciate it, guys.
Well, now Nikki's all excited about the future of booze. So
here for it.
Yes.
All of it.
It's gonna help me train for my
next. Yeah, it's gonna help me train for my next Hyrox.
It is. It's the triumvirate of hard seltzer, protein, and hydration. Like, what can go wrong? Like, everything.
Really?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? It sounds like a perfect 10 a.m. beverage.
I can put that to the test. Trust me. For sure. All right. Well, it was good seeing you guys. For everyone listening, we appreciate you guys joining this evening, and we'll chat with you guys soon.